990-3707. Call now.
I'm Dara Brown with breaking news this hour. The LA Sheriff's Department tells MSNBC that several people have been shot in Monterey Park, California. They say they don't know how many were hit or if anyone has died, but the incident happened just after 10 p.m. local time at a business and does not seem to be related to a nearby Lunar New Year celebration. No word on any suspects or in custody. Monterey Park is about 10 minutes east of Los Angeles with a population of around 60,000 people. Keep it right here for more on this developing story. Now back to Dateline.
Adam Frosch was in a world of trouble, charged with killing his wife and facing the possibility of a life.
We change lives. Learn more at Vulcan.org.
I'm Dara Brown with breaking news this hour. The LA Sheriff's Department tells MSNBC that several people have been shot in Monterey Park, California. They say they don't know how many were hit or if anyone has died, but the incident happened just after 10 p.m. local time at a business and does not seem to be related to a nearby Lunar New Year celebration. No word on if there are any suspects in custody. Monterey Park is about 10 minutes east of Los Angeles with a population of around 60,000 people. Keep it right here for more on this developing story. Now back to Dateline.
Welcome back to Dateline. I'm Natalie Morales. John Hinckley Jr. shot President Reagan in a twisted attempt to impress.
Guilty but mentally ill.
In federal court, the burden of proof now has shifted to the defense team, who must.
I'm Dara Brown. We have breaking news at this hour. The LA Sheriff's Department tells MSNBC that 9 people have been killed in a shooting in Monterey Park, California. They say they don't know how many people were shot in total or how many others may be hurt, but the incident happened just after 10 p.m. local time at a business and does not seem to be related to a nearby Lunar New Year celebration. No word yet on any suspects if they are in custody, but we are expecting a police briefing sometime soon. Monterey Park is about 10 minutes east of Los Angeles with a population of around 60,000 people. Stay with us for more on this breaking story, and we'll have a full report at 7 a.m. Eastern on The Katie Fang Show.
Tried to assassinate the president, even if found insane, should never go free.
Ms. Barb, you are not off the hook yet. You are staying with us, continuing coverage after a quick break.
Hello, I'm Dara Brown. We have breaking news at this hour. The LA Sheriff's Department tells MSNBC that 9 people have been killed in a shooting in Monterey Park, California. They say they don't know how many people were actually shot in total or how many others may be hurt, but the incident happened just after 10 p.m. local time at a business and does not seem to be related to a nearby Lunar New Year celebration. There are no word yet on any suspects if they are in custody. We are expecting a police briefing sometime soon. Monterey Park is about 10 miles east of Los Angeles with a population of around 60,000 people, and celebrations started today. It was a 2-day festival, Saturday and Sunday, to kick off the Lunar New Year. There were reportedly tons of thousands gathered the afternoon, but it had cleared out for the evening. Police are being very slow to give us any information, actually. This happened, as we said, at 10 p.m. California Pacific time, but the details are very slow to come out. This area of Monterey Park is about 7 miles from downtown Los Angeles, which is about a 10-minute drive. It's in the San Gabriel Valley region of Los Angeles County. Witnesses have said there was gunfire. They're reporting that there are people have been down, but again, they've been taken to hospitals. We've had no information from the hospitals, and the only update we have gotten from the Sheriff's Department is that 9 people have been killed, and we still don't know how many have been shot, possibly wounded. We're looking right now at the scene. Police cars, there's somebody being taken out on a stretcher from earlier. There are people, the police cars have been there, the fire trucks have been there, but again, not really much information on what has happened at this shooting. Apparently it is a business, and we are getting word it is possibly at a restaurant, But again, no specific details on where this happened. The business is located on West Garvey Avenue. They closed down that street and, of course, asked people to not go near the area. They're asking everybody to stay away from the area. Right now, we're going to bring in Jim Kavanaugh, who is our retired ATF agent in charge. And Jim, you are the person to speak to about this, because this news has been trickling in, and the police are being very, very tight-lipped about the situation here. Can you tell us why they would be handling it like this?
Well, a lot of times what will happen is the suspect in a mass homicide like this will run back and hide and turn on the news. One of the first things they'll do, and commanders know that. They know that the person is probably in a manic state. If they're not fleeing, which sometimes they're fleeing on the highway, but if they're not fleeing and they're hiding, then they're affixed to the news. And certainly in the major city like L.A. and the surrounding area, it's a good chance the killer is just glued to the news, flipping channels on the internet, searching everything about this case. And of course, the commanders don't want to release anything to him. That's one reason it happens a little slowly. The other is it's the chaos and what we call the fog of war. So when the case breaks, really they have to have deputies and detectives and agents out there kind of gathering up the cogent information that the commanders can relate to the media and the citizens. They don't want to get it wrong. And so there's a couple of reasons it doesn't happen as quickly as we sometimes like, but we should be getting something here in a few minutes, hopefully.
Well, they have been promising a presser here. We've been getting word on that for almost an hour and a half now, and we can see the microphones are set, but yet no indication that they are going to come out and speak anytime soon about this. So we're watching these aerials. And again, what would be the first thing we want to hear, Jim, real quick, because we have to wrap?
Yeah, the first thing we want to hear is a description of the suspect, or that the suspect's in custody, because the critical thing in this case is we have a killer responsible for some mass death and is not apprehended from the last word we know about. So that's the most critical thing. He's loose. Will he kill again? Do you have a description?
Thank you so much for your time, Jim. I appreciate it. I'm sure we're going to come back to you when we get more details, as they are here. Again, we're watching breaking news out of Monterey Park in California. I'm Dara Brown with MSNBC Live here in New York City. We'll bring you more details as this develops. Back to our programming.
And drips into really what's become just a very controversial situation with these classified documents being discovered both at the Penn Biden Center and President Biden's Wilmington home. We learned from these new statements just a few minutes ago, one of them from Bob Bauer, President Biden's personal attorney, saying that the Justice Department with Biden's legal team again searched his Wilmington home yesterday, and they found 6 more classified documents, some of them, as you mentioned, stemming back from his days as vice president. They say that this review included things like
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Leslie has weather on your schedule. NonstopLocal.com.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Willie Geist.
Good morning. We're coming on the air this Sunday morning with breaking news out of Southern California, where at least 9 people were killed in a mass shooting outside of Los Angeles overnight. Police are looking for the male shooter who opened fire during a Lunar New Year celebration in Monterey Park. That's a majority Asian American community. NBC's Steve Patterson is on the scene. Steve, what more can you tell us?
Willie, good morning. At this point, information is fluid. It is still very early on in this investigation, but at this point, what we can say is that, again, 9 people confirmed dead in this mass shooting, this mass casualty event, somewhere in the expanse of the scene that you see behind me. Police haven't given a press conference yet. We're awaiting more details from that, which may include Monterey Park Police as well as the LA County Sheriff's Department. The LA Sheriff's Department has said, again, that the suspect is a male. As for the status of that suspect, as for the status of anybody else that may have been injured in this shooting, it's currently unknown. This is particularly troubling because, as you referenced, this is a significant place for the Asian population, for AAPI in this area, heavily populated. And this is the site behind me of a massive Lunar New Year celebration, a two-day event that features some 10,000s of people that could flood this street. We don't know if this is in relation in any way to that celebration, but what we're hearing is that this took place somewhere after 10 p.m. Shots rang out, a scene of chaos, police responding heavily to people that were down, people being carted and carried off in stretchers, ostensibly to receive medical treatment. Again, wish we could tell you more about the status of people that left this scene, but it was a grim scene upon arrival, according to the police that responded. Again, we are awaiting more from police, including any official information, more on the numbers of people that may have been wounded, more on the numbers of people that may be killed or may be languishing in a hospital that is nearby to this area. But at this time, again, 9 people killed in this mass shooting here at Monterey Park in Southern California, Willie.
Very early hours, as you say, and we expect a briefing from police a little bit later this morning. We'll be back to you for that. Steve Patterson in Monterey Park. Steve, thanks so much. Let's bring in NBC News law enforcement analyst Jim Kavanaugh. He is a retired ATF special agent, and he joins us now on the phone. So, Jim, take this set of facts. Obviously, we don't have a lot to go on. As Steve just reported, we know that there are at least 9 people dead. Police looking for a male shooter. This is one of the largest Lunar New Year celebrations in America, if not in the world. What are law enforcement agents looking for at this point?
Well, you know, they got to arrive, Willie, and it's chaos for them. First patrol officers, first deputies on the scene. It's wild. They have to attend to the wounded, of course, and there's a number of wounded in this case. 9 dead, as Steve reported. So they have a massive scene. They've got to take that chaos, get it organized, you know, and catch the killer. The critical point, as Steve reported, and we don't know the facts, whether the killer is in custody or he is at large. But if he remains at large, it's a very tense situation then in Monterey Park, because you got a man who's committed a mass killing, and he's still armed, you know, with a rifle, from what witnesses have reported on the news. So it's very, very dangerous situation. You have to listen to the police if you're in that area. Secondly, they're going to be sweeping for any explosive devices, any Confederates. There's so much for them to do in these early moments and hours to try to stop the killing. The goal is, for the commanders, is to make sure there's no more killing, and that's the first thing they're trying to do.
And we don't know, Jim, right now whether police have found the shooter. They have not made that clear. The last information we had is that they were searching for a male suspect here. We don't know if in the intervening hours that they have caught this man. We will know in a couple of minutes, we hope, from a briefing with police. As I said, Jim, this is a majority Asian American population, 65% in Monterey Park, a Lunar New Year celebration. How does all that figure into the investigation here?
Well, it figures in very heavily, because targeting is always indicative of motive. It's something we've always looked at hard when certain populations are targeted, or certain people are targeted. It leads you back to the mind of the killer. When you have a large minority group in a very public event, that becomes a major league category. Major lead category of, is this a hate crime? So it doesn't mean it is a hate crime, because you have to get inside the motive of the killer's mind. But when you have an event that targets minorities, in this case Asians, and it's a very public event. Everyone knows that this is a large Asian celebration, the Lunar New Year, and there's a large population there. It certainly rises to be, one of the number one considerations on motive, and that really can sometimes help lead you to who might be responsible. So it is critical for investigators to, think about motive, realize what the target is, follow some leads that may come in about that. But it's too early to tell, because some of these mass shooters, they just target a crowd. They just want to go where everybody is. They pick the store, Walmart, they pick a church, they pick a gathering, they pick a festival. So it's too hard to tell. But of course, as you know, the Asian community has been targeted just way too much in America with hate and assaults and violence for years. So it certainly stands out as a strong possibility.
As you say, it calls to mind these gatherings like the one in Highland Park on the 4th of July in Illinois, the shooting there. Jim Cavanaugh, we'll be back to you as we get more information. Again, the news this morning, at least 9 people were killed at a Lunar New Year festival in Monterey Park, California overnight. That's just outside of Los Angeles. We will have much more for you as we get details this morning on Sunday today and throughout the day on NBCNews.com, MSNBC, and NBC Nightly News. This has been an NBC News special report.
Address all those for best outcomes.
To go along with the NeuroQ quiz, we've also developed a NeuroQ brain supplement.
And so I appreciate your asking the question, and I appreciate his answer. What he said was they reached out to DOJ and offered to open the doors to the home. So that impresses me. That does demonstrate.
I'm Dara Brown. We have breaking news at this hour. The LA Sheriff's Department says 9 people have been killed in a shooting in Monterey Park, California. Here's the press conference. Let's listen in.
This evening, or last night actually, at approximately 10:22 p.m., officers from the Monterey Park Police Department responded to a local business in the 100 block of West Garvey Avenue in the city of Monterey Park regarding a shots fired call. When officers arrived on scene, they observed numerous individuals, patrons of the location, pouring out of the location, screaming. The officers made entry to the location and located additional victims. The Monterey Park Police Fire Department responded to the scene and treated the injured and pronounced 10 of the victims deceased at the scene. There were at least 10 additional victims that were transported to numerous local hospitals and are listed in various conditions from stable to critical. The suspect fled the scene and remains outstanding. Anyone with information regarding this incident, we're asking them to call LA Sheriff's Homicide at 323-890-5500, or if you prefer to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-8477. Homicide Bureau is working closely with Chief Scott Weiss and his agency at the Monterey Park Police Department. We're working with the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, the Federal Bureau of Investigation LA office, and numerous other law enforcement agencies. With that, I'll take a limited amount of questions, if anybody. No, sir. As far as motive goes, it's too early in the investigation to know what the motive is. No, sir, not at this time. No description on the suspect at this time. All I can tell you is that it was a firearm that was used, and no other information on as far as the firearm right now. The suspect is outstanding. That's correct.
Yeah, there was a lot going on at the time. So the scene around this as it unfolded was what? There was what going on? The gunman walked in?
The location is, there was a ballroom, like a ballroom dance location.
Captain, was there a second location as well?
We're aware of an incident that occurred in Alhambra, and we have investigators on scene trying to determine if there's a connection between these two incidents.
Video inside the place itself, not people's phones and stuff like that. But that's the video of the
So the investigators are working every lead on this case. Obviously, we have all our resources here, a limited amount of resources. We have resources from various law enforcement agencies. We're reviewing all surveillance video, any surveillance video, following all leads, so we're not going to leave anything unturned. No, not at this time. It's preliminary. We will have more information. As more information becomes available regarding the suspect, we'll put that information out to you guys. Yes, sir. We have 10 that are deceased at the scene, and an additional, we believe, at least 10 at local hospitals. Anywhere from critical to stable.
Captain, I know you said no motive is known, but do you think that the suspect may have known the victims? Is there any connection there that you know?
As far as the suspect knowing any of the victims, it's too early in the investigation. We do not know that information at this time. We don't know if it's targeted.
Do we know anything about the victims, how old they are?
No, we don't know how old they are. I'll just take 2 more questions, and that's it. We will update you guys further. This is just a preliminary briefing. We're going to have a lot more information to share with you in the future, in the coming hours.
Covered at that second location, we heard reports that possibly civilians had disarmed a possible suspect.
That's something that we're investigating, and we'll have additional information about that. We will look at every angle as far as whether it's a hate crime or not. It's just too early in the investigation to know whether this incident was a hate crime or not.
Is the festival canceled tomorrow, or is it still going on?
I'm going to have the chief answer that question. Chief?
Sure. The festival that occurred Saturday also extended to Sunday. Out of an abundance of caution and in reverence for the victims, we are canceling the event that's going to happen later today. So the Lunar Festival here in Monterey Park has been canceled.
Just 2 more questions.
Do we know if anyone's injured at that second shooting?
No, not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if there's any injuries or not. We're still investigating. One other question? Within the next few hours. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Can you say your name for the audience?
Sure. Andrew Meyer?
Could you spell Meyer?
Sure. M-E-Y-E-R.
All
right.
Title?
Captain, LA Sheriff's Homicide. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We have been listening to the press release from the captain of the LA Sheriff's Department. That was Andrew Meyer speaking, finally giving details about what happened with this shooting. We've been waiting for this presser, and come to find out now that 10 people are dead. That's what the captain said. There are now 10 people dead and 10 people who have been taken to the hospital with various injuries. No word on the ages of those people or what the injuries were. Again, this was a shooting at a dance club in Monterey Park, California. It happened about 10:22 in the evening, and police are on scene, fire trucks are on scene, and they've been handling this. Jim Kavanaugh is with us. He is our retired ATF agent in charge. And Jim, listening to that press conference, there were quite a few things in there that were interesting. One, a possible connection to another shooting in Alhambra, and also no idea what the firearm that this suspect, who they identified as a male but is not in custody, nothing else on the firearm that he used. What can you glean from that conversation there?
Well, it was interesting to talk about there's another scene in Alhambra. What we don't know there is was that scene before this incident or after. And realize it's important is sometimes these mass shooters start with an assault and homicide on their loved ones. They kill a significant other at home or family members at home. And then what happens? So it's a possibility.
Okay, Jim, hold on one second. We're going to try to get you back in with your audio because we cannot hear you clearly. Again, we are looking at pictures from Monterey Park, California, where there was a mass shooting. 10 people have been killed. We just heard from the captain of the LA Sheriff's Department. 10 people have been killed, 10 people injured, taken to hospitals in the area. This on a Saturday evening when they had a Lunar New Year festival in Monterey Park, which is quite a large festival. They had tens of thousands of people attending. And also, the chief was saying that the Lunar Festival will be canceled for today, Sunday. I'd like to bring back in... We don't have Jim. Okay. So we're going to have more details on this as this develops. Obviously, it's a developing story. And right now, we are going to go back to our program In Progress. I'm Dara Brown at MSNBC headquarters live in New York. We'll be back.
More on that soon. The best part? The prequel.
Here, 6 p.m. Eastern, for more American Voices.
And a good morning to you. This is the Katie Fang Show. We have breaking news overnight on the West Coast. Law enforcement confirming that at least 10 people have been killed in a mass shooting and at least 10 other are injured. In Monterey Park, California, this is taking place in Los Angeles County. The incident happened just after 10 p.m. local time at a business. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson is there with the latest.
Yeah, good morning from Monterey Park, the scene of this mass shooting, this mass casualty event where police have just given us an update. We now know that 10 people have been killed in this shooting, with an additional 10 that have been wounded, taken to local hospitals and trauma centers, all in various states, ranging from stable to critical condition at this time. Again, 10 killed, 10 injured, police investigating, police telling us that they believe the suspect is still at large, that the suspect, a male suspect, a male shooter, has fled the scene after the shooting taking place a little bit after 10 o'clock, about 10:22 p.m. This evening. Would have been a few hours after one of the largest Lunar New Year celebrations in all of Southern California, if not the entire country. Tens of thousands of people flooding the streets. We don't know if that was in relation to this shooting. In fact, we don't know what the motive was for this shooting. We don't know if this was indiscriminate or targeted. Police not sure of that information at this point, but again, they do know 10 people shot, 10 people killed, 10 people wounded additional, so 20 victims in total, at least so far. Police, again, still investigating. They're going to promise another update within the next few hours as this moves forward. Still very early in this investigation as it moves forward. The business that this occurred at was reportedly a ballroom. We don't know if that shooting happened inside of that business or in the street outside. Again, all part of the investigation, which is still ongoing at this point. As soon as we learn more from police, we'll bring it to you. Back to you.
And our thanks to Steve Patterson, who's out there in California. For more on this breaking story, we're going to bring in now Clint Watts. Clint is an MSNBC national security analyst, a distinguished research fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, and the author of Messing with the Enemy, Surviving in a Social Media World of Hackers, Terrorists, Russians, and Fake News. Clint, always good to see you. Sad to have you join us this morning because of this breaking news. We know so far that there is no suspect in custody. So for my question to you straight out of the gate, Clint, what are police going to be doing right now? There is a manhunt that's underway, but the preliminary information is so limited. We just know that it was a man who's responsible for at least 10 dead and more than 10 injured in California.
Together, it gives you some idea of the locations where we might see some tips or leads coming from. Again, the biggest concern is something where you see one mass casualty incident, and then because we don't know who the perpetrator is, the law enforcement's trying to figure that out right now. They need to get there very, very quickly, close on that individual, make sure that the communities are safe. You don't want another attack. And I think most well-known one of this is the Boston bombing. You might remember, a decade ago where, one mass casualty incident, they didn't know who the perpetrator was. They have to then move very quickly, and then that can lead to other incidents down the road. So I'm sure it's a very tense time there right now, and they're going to have to work very diligently and very quickly to get the evidence out. So I'd look for a lot more information, hopefully by morning.
Clint Watts, MSNBC national security analyst, I thank you for your time. I know this is a developing story, so thanks for running with it. And we will be looking forward to hearing from you later on, but we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks so much. And we're going to have much more on this breaking news coming up later in the hour. Plus, more classified items found in President Biden's home in Delaware. What could that mean for the special counsel investigation? Glenn Kirshner is here to help me break it all down right after the break.
When you have auto